usually don't do the garden tour until July. But let's see what's here. Let's see. No, I don't burn anything in that. The cats usually sleep in it. No potatoes yet. And plenty of room to fill them up. I had to put a screen over that because Walter's been sleeping in it. I have terrible luck with my perennials. So this year, a new experiment is to bury the containers and then pull them up in the winter and bring them in and hope the cats don't eat them. Apparently Maine loves lavender, so I just had to get the right lavender. So this is a Munstead, and we'll see if that will actually survive. I think this is cutting celery, and I'm kind of shocked it came back because I did not think that was for perennial. Winter savory, the watercress, which I also shocked and amazed it came back. Oregano, garlics, chives, garlic chives, and regular chives. That's the strawberry, which I plunked the whole pot, the root ball into the soil, and it survived. Shocking. No hummingbirds yet, even though I have seen them last year. And I had to move it out here because the raccoons kept drinking it. There is the shallot bed. Hopefully, I will remove the lattice when they start popping up, even though I'm going to try to figure out a way to lattice the whole thing because the cats keep fiddling in here. I don't know what those are. They're all onions from last year that I just moved. We'll see what they are. Nothing in here yet. Nothing in there yet. That'll be the tomatoes and the squashes. That's the garlic bed. Pinned down to keep the cats from screwing around. Or I think the raccoons have been digging things up. And there's our Empire apple, which is doing nicely, even though my graft did not take. However, it gives me a good place to secure my espalier wires. So it's giving it more of a shape. My surprise rhubarbs. This is where I planted them, even though I had no plans to even buy them. But they all came back up. I might have to make this a more organized bed. But there's plenty of room under the apple trees for the rhubarb because there's nothing else going on. And this is my lovely Liberty. Last year I got 6 beautiful apples. It starts with 12, gives me 6. That's a good ratio, right? Oh, look! I suspect that those... I accidentally dumped the whole packet of lettuce seeds in here, so I'm going to get a whole shitload of lettuce all at the same time. Usually I put in some cucumbers and let them climb over the wires. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do with a whole lot of lettuce. It's more than I eat. This bed has 3 grape of the slowest growing grapes ever. I didn't mean to put them here. I got them for free and had to put them somewhere. So I threw them in here 2 years ago. They sprout, but they don't grow any bigger. We'll see. My theory is if one of them takes off, I'll build an arbor over it. The only things I put in here so far are the peas. But that was not very long ago. I had to put up the tents so that I knew that there's no peas in between the tents because that's where the tomatoes will go. And then once the peas shoot up, I will build a whole cage around them. These are the telephone pole. They have like 10-foot vines, so they grow up. They're late season peas, but I'm very happy with them last year. This, when I moved in here, was this huge wall of invasive and shrubby things all growing together. It took me 3 years to cut it all, trim it all down to definable plants. And then the neighbors put the fence up. So it cuts off a lot of light. In the summertime, these trees are full, so it's very dark back here. But, hey, I've got fence on 3 sides, and I don't have to pay for none of it. Yes, this is an invasive ivy, and sometimes I have to mow it, but not that very often. But this is a deep shade area. Nothing would grow back here anyway. The only thing it does is it keeps the moisture in, so there's definitely a lot of ground mosquitoes and black flies that come out of it, so I don't enjoy my backyard. There's the male holly, which I keep trying to sculpt. Eventually it'll have some sort of shape, but the animals like to hide underneath it. I did finally find a home for that female. She moved twice or 3 times in the 5 years I've been here. But she's over there permanently. And the Black Lagoon. I made a big mistake 2 weeks ago when I put in the floating plants. They're native floating plants, and still the snowstorm kind of killed almost everything. I think there might be some hornwort left under the water. We'll see. Yes, squirrel highway. Let's see. I got that from the dump, and I've got an idea to replace the wood. I don't sit on it. Cats do. But it's more of a feature. Same as that one over there. It's just something. Cats sit on it. I mean, if I could sit out here if there wasn't so many bugs. Got some irises and some ferns coming in. Hopefully I'll lure back my frogs from last year. I've managed to that's odd. The secondary runway goes over this neighborhood, so that's a weird thing. Yes, my terrible shed, which now has a terrible tree on it. Yeah, I'll deal with it eventually. But that's my moss garden. Nothing grows back here except moss and, some weeds. I was filling this squirrel feeder for the first few years, but I can't see it from anywhere in the house now, so I feed in the front. And if I could figure out a way to move it to the front, I would. This is sort of my catch-all. Basically, I don't really plant a lot of flowers, but anytime I find bulbs, I throw them in here. And there's other things in here. There's irises and lupin and things I can't identify. It's mostly for the bees, but it looks nice. And here's my wretched back of the house. One day I'd like to put a little patio out here. That's what I was going to do with the bricks. And, let's see. I put this up. I got these from my mom's last year. And I planted a clematis, which didn't do very well last year, but it's coming back. It's the first thing that came back. There's another clematis on the other side, but there's some sedum I got for basically free from a Walmart. And there's a rhubarb, which keeps trying to flower on me. It's not supposed to be there, but it's there temporarily. I gotta find a home for it. And there's my original rhubarb from 4.5 years ago, and one from 3 years ago, and one from 2 years ago, and then that one was planned from last year. More sedum, morning glories. There's a rose I keep trying to kill. Don't remember what that is. Used to be a heather there, but it kept getting destroyed, so I don't know if it's going to come back. And we have our lovely azalea. Luckily, it gets sun right now when it's in blossom, but then later on it won't get any sun. I've got one fritillaria. I've managed to, I think, murder another one. There's some astilbe and some tulips that have gone by. And yes, that's a whole big bunch of seeds. I rake them up and then I move them into the compost pile. No big. But I am really shocked that this lilac is coming back. Because it died. It wasn't the squirrels. It died. But then the squirrels came along and helped it. But I can't take it down because this is the squirrel highway. But the lilac is coming back really strong. So in a couple of years, the deadwood can come down. And as long as the squirrels don't rip the bark off that, we'll be in good shape. And there's a bunch of other plants in here. Lily of the Valley. And some ferns. I'd like to have a lot more ferns. And I was really worried about this lilac, because this is where the city guys, the gas guys, dug a hole and ruined the roots of it. But I only had to cut back half of it. The rest of it's come back nice. And my squirrel feeders, which I still have to figure out a better way. That's it. That's the beginnings of this year's garden. I'll see you in July. Oh, plants waiting to go in. No, they're going to stay in there until like June. Just in case.